So, what if the very platform, the one bringing you literally all your customers today, just decides to snap its fingers tomorrow and completely wipe out your entire business?
Yeah, I mean, that's a truly terrifying thought.
Right.
And the reality is this isn't some, like, hypothetical fear cooked up to sell you a consulting package or something. It is an actual historical
It
reality
happens all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
It has happened to countless online businesses just repeatedly over the past 2 decades. I mean, we're talking about entire livelihoods, millions of dollars in recurring revenue, literally erased overnight.
Wow.
Just because, some developer in a Silicon Valley office pushed an update to a code base.
Yeah, we need to tackle that fear head on today because that exact scenario is basically the central tension of the blueprint we're analyzing right now. Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. We are looking at the introduction and foundational first chapter of our source material. And we're going to explore the massive glaring difference between building a business on, temporary, platform-dependent tactical loopholes versus,
Building it on the evergreen, unshakable foundation of human psychology.
yes. Because if you're operating under the assumption that your current mastery of, say, the Facebook algorithm, or your current ranking on Google, or your virality on TikTok is going to last forever, well, your business is in immediate, constant danger.
It really is.
Yeah.
You're essentially building this incredible high-speed bullet train, but you are letting someone else completely control the tracks.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. They own the switches. They own the routing.
Yeah.
And they can just flip a switch and send your beautifully engineered train straight into a brick wall at any second.
With absolutely no warning.
No warning and no recourse. You can't call customer service and complain.
So the mission of this deep dive is to basically give you the ultimate survival guide. Whether you're a curious beginner or a seasoned entrepreneur, by the end of this conversation, the goal is to stop chasing algorithmic ghosts, right? And start understanding the actual human beings behind those clicks.
Because that is the crucial pivot you have to make.
Yeah.
Algorithms are, they are explicitly designed to change.
Right, that's their job.
Exactly. Their core function is to adapt, to optimize for the platform's revenue, and to prevent marketers from exploiting them. But human desires, the fundamental architecture of the human brain.
That doesn't really change, does it?
No, it has remained essentially unchanged for tens of thousands of years.
Okay, let's ground this in that snapping fingers imagery I mentioned at the start. In the industry, and specifically in the blueprint we're studying, there's this reference to the villain Thanos from the Avengers franchise.
Ah, yes, the Thanos snap.
Right. The entity that with a single snap just wipes out half of all existence. So Mark Zuckerberg, or whoever is running Google's search team, effectively holds that gauntlet.
They do.
And they don't do it out of malice. They're just running their businesses. But the result is the exact same. We have seen this Thanos snap happen in the real world, haven't we?
Oh, multiple times. And it's like every time it happens, a brand new generation of entrepreneurs learns a very painful, very expensive lesson.
Like a rite of passage almost.
Yeah, a brutal one.
Yeah.
Let's look back at the early 2000s, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We had an extinction-level event that veterans in the industry still refer to as the Google slap.
The Google slap, man, I haven't heard that term in years, but the sheer panic it caused back then is legendary.
It was absolute chaos.
For the listener who might not have been around for that, what were the actual mechanics of that event? Like, what actually happened?
Okay, so in the early days of Google AdWords, the platform was essentially the Wild West. Smart, aggressive marketers figured out a massive loophole. They realized they could buy clicks for absolute pennies on virtually any keyword.
Literally pennies.
Literally. So what do? They built incredibly thin, low-effort websites. Just a single page, barely any original content, but absolutely loaded with affiliate links or display ads.
Basically just digital junk.
Pure junk. But the math worked perfectly for them. They would buy a click from Google for 3 cents. The user would land on this garbage page, hopefully click an affiliate link, and the marketer would make $1.
Wow, so it was like an infinite money glitch.
It really was. You put 3 cents in the slot machine, you get $1 out. Every single time.
And people built massive companies on that glitch, didn't they?
Oh, huge companies. They hired staff, they signed leases for big offices, they scaled their ad spend to the moon.
But they were basically building a multi-million-dollar mansion on a rented sandcastle.
Exactly. Because they completely ignored the fundamental reality of the platform they were renting space on. Google's actual primary goal is to provide a highly relevant, high-quality experience for its users.
Right, so people keep using Google.
Precisely. If Google serves up garbage, people switch to Yahoo or Bing. So Google executives woke up one day, looked at their search results, and realized their platform was being heavily polluted with these useless, thin affiliate pages.
So they just changed the rules.
They changed the algorithm. They instituted what they called a quality score. They basically slapped the market.
And the fallout from that, I mean, it was instantaneous.
Overnight. The cost of clicks for those low-quality sites didn't just double or triple. They went from like 3 cents to 5, 10, sometimes $20 a click.
Oh my God.
Plus, thousands of advertiser accounts were just outright banned. No warning, no possibility of appeal. Businesses that were netting millions of dollars in profit on a Tuesday literally ceased to exist by Wednesday morning.
That is mind-blowing. You go to sleep a millionaire and you wake up bankrupt, all because the platform just optimized for its own survival.
Yep, they had zero distribution left.
And the crazy part is, the exact same thing happened a decade later with what people call the Facebook snap.
Oh, the Facebook bait and switch. That one is arguably even more insidious because of how it was originally framed to business owners.
How so?
Well, in the early 2010s, Facebook actively encouraged businesses to build fan pages. They told brands, come over here, bring your audience, build your community on our platform.
Right. I remember that.
And it worked beautifully at first. You could build a massive page with 1 million followers, post a link to your new product, and reach a huge percentage of those followers entirely for free.
Yeah, I remember brands bragging about their follower counts as if it was an email list they actually owned.
And that was the fatal flaw. They didn't own it. Facebook went public. They had shareholders to answer to. They certainly realized they were giving away the most valuable commodity on earth.
Human attention.
Yes, human attention. They were giving it away for free. They needed to monetize. So, surprise, surprise, the algorithm was adjusted. The EdgeRank system was tweaked. The snap. Organic reach for business pages plummeted.
Yeah.
It went from reaching 20 or 30% of your audience down to reaching 1 or 2%.
Wow.
Suddenly, if you wanted to talk to the exact people who had explicitly asked to follow you, you had to pay Facebook for the privilege. You had to boost the post.
And the businesses that didn't have the margins to pay for that reach, like the ones whose entire economic model relied on that free organic traffic.
Wiped out. Completely gone. Another Thanos snap.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we are seeing iterations of this exact same cycle today with TikTok, with Instagram Reels, with YouTube's recommendation engine.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this brings up a really critical question for anyone listening right now. If we know this train is going to crash, if the history of digital marketing is literally just a series of algorithmic extinction events, why do brilliant, capable entrepreneurs keep falling into this trap?
It's a great question.
Why do we obsess over the tactical loophole instead of pouring a solid concrete foundation?
Because the loophole is intoxicating. It really is. It offers this immediate, cheap validation. When a new platform emerges or a new feature is launched, like think about when Instagram first launched Stories or when TikTok introduced its shop features. There's always this golden window.
Right, where attention is super underpriced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The platform desperately wants to encourage adoption, so they artificially inflate the reach of early adopters. It feels like absolute magic. Your customer acquisition cost is effectively zero. You feel like a genius.
So you mistake being early for being smart.
Precisely. That's the trap. The fundamental error occurs when entrepreneurs start to believe that exploiting the platform is their actual business strategy. They view the platform as the core engine of their success, rather than seeing it for what it truly is. Merely a temporary rented distribution channel to execute a much deeper platform-agnostic strategy.
Okay, this requires a total rewiring of how most people approach marketing. Like, listener, think about your own internet habits or your browser history. If you are constantly searching for latest TikTok algorithm update or how to hack LinkedIn reach, you are playing a losing game.
A completely losing game.
You have to shift your mindset. Stop asking, how do I trick the algorithm? And start asking, how do I survive the inevitable algorithm change? Because the change isn't a possibility, it's a mathematical guarantee.
Absolutely. And to survive it, we have to look at the typical modern life cycle of learning traffic and understand exactly why that life cycle is doomed from the start. The source material maps this out in a very predictable economic cycle.
Let's trace that cycle then. Because I feel like once you see the matrix here, you can't really unsee it.
No, you can't.
So it always begins with the birth of a new platform. Let's say some new augmented reality social network launches tomorrow. What happens?
Phase 1 is the Wild West. Early adopters jump on it. The platform needs content desperately to keep users engaged, so it rewards anyone who posts with massive disproportionate visibility.
Right.
The marketers figure out the cheap, easy tricks to game the system. Traffic is abundant, and it's practically free.
Then comes phase 2, the gold rush.
Yes. Case studies get published. Marketing agencies start selling specialized services for this new platform. The broader market catches on, and suddenly the platform gets very crowded.
And this is where basic macroeconomic principles take over.
Exactly. Attention on any given platform is a finite resource. There are only so many users, and they only have so many hours in the day. As the platform gets crowded with advertisers, the demand for traffic goes up, but the supply of user attention remains static, or at least it grows at a much slower rate.
And when demand exceeds supply, prices invariably skyrocket.
Yep. The click that cost you a penny in phase 1 now costs $1 in phase 2 and $5 in phase 3. The arbitrage opportunity just vanishes.
Right.
Simultaneously, the platform matures. It realizes that users are getting annoyed by all the spammy, low-quality marketing, so it tightens the algorithm. It restricts organic reach. It starts prioritizing its own ad revenue over the advertiser's margins.
So the businesses that relied solely on that cheap phase 1 trick, the ones who didn't actually have a sound business model or an understanding of their customers' psychology, but they just knew how to use the right hashtags.
They die. They literally cannot afford the new phase 3 prices. Their customer acquisition cost exceeds the lifetime value of their customer. They bleed cash, they panic, and they fold. It is a predictable, brutal, repeating cycle.
Wow. So if the modern digital playbook is just jumping from one sinking ship to the next, hoping to make a profit before the water reaches the deck, what is the actual alternative?
Well, the blueprint points to a methodology that feels completely counterintuitive to someone raised in the digital age.
Okay.
It points away from Silicon Valley entirely and points back toward the old-school direct response marketing pioneers, the guys operating in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s.
Okay, we're talking about people like Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert, Eugene Schwartz.
Exactly. These are individuals who built massive globe-spanning businesses and drove unimaginable amounts of traffic. And we're talking traffic measured in physical purchases and mailed-in checks.
Real money.
Real money. And they did this decades before the internet even existed. They didn't have a Facebook ads manager. They didn't have pixel tracking or retargeting.
Right.
They used direct mail, radio broadcast, terrestrial television, and full-page print ads in newspapers.
No, I have to play devil's advocate here.
These do.
Because I know exactly what a modern digital agency owner or an e-commerce founder is thinking right now. They're listening to this and saying, why on earth should I care about guys who sold things via snail mail or took out ads in the yellow pages? I am trying to master short-form vertical video here. I am dealing with an audience whose attention span is supposedly shorter than a goldfish's. Snail mail is totally irrelevant to me.
I hear that objection constantly.
I mean, it feels like telling a modern aerospace engineer that they need to go study the Wright brothers' wooden gliders, right?
It does feel like that, but it is the most common and frankly the most dangerous misconception in modern business today.
Really?
Yes. The flaw in that thinking is the assumption that technology and human psychology evolve at the same speed. They absolutely do not.
Oh, elaborate on that.
Think about it. We carry these incredible supercomputers in our pockets, right?
Yeah.
But the hardware inside our skulls, the human brain, that hasn't had a significant update in roughly 50,000 years.
That's a great point.
We are driven by the exact same evolutionary fears, desires, status anxieties, and tribal instincts as our ancestors. So the ultimate secret that these direct response legends understood and what the current generation is desperately missing is that traffic isn't code. Traffic is not a metric on a dashboard. Traffic is people.
Traffic is people.
People.
It sounds almost too simple, but the implications of that are massive.
Because people are highly predictable. The strategies of human persuasion, of understanding what specific emotional trigger will make a human being stop what they are doing, pay undivided attention to a message, and actually take out their credit card to buy a solution.
Yeah.
Those psychological strategies outlast any delivery mechanism.
So you are saying the channel itself is irrelevant?
Completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. A compelling, psychologically sound hook that grabbed a reader's attention in a direct mail sales letter in 1985. That will absolutely work as the first 3 seconds of a TikTok video today.
Wow.
The medium changed from ink on paper to pixels on a screen. But the human processing that information on the receiving end, That did not change at all. Take Eugene Schwartz, for example.
Okay.
In his book Breakthrough Advertising, which was written way back in 1966, he stated a rule that honestly should be framed on the wall of every media buyer today.
What's the rule?
He wrote, "Copy cannot create desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product."
That is profound. You cannot manufacture desire. You can only channel it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe you can manufacture desire just by having a really snappy TikTok edit, you will go broke.
Mm-hmm.
Schwartz didn't know what a social media feed was, obviously, but he understood the human feed better than almost anyone alive today.
This just exposes a massive trap in modern marketing education. Like, listener, if you're doing this, stop looking for courses that just show you screenshots of today's Facebook Ads Manager or Google Analytics dashboard.
Yes.
Because by the time someone writes a book, films a course, edits the video, and publishes it with a screenshot of the interface has already updated. The buttons have moved. The features have completely changed.
It's obsolete the day it's published.
Right, so don't dedicate your life to learning the software interface. Dedicate your life to learning the evergreen psychological strategy that will work as long as there are breathing humans on this planet to sell to.
And once you accept that reality that traffic is just a collection of human beings with pre-existing desires, it forces an immediate structural change in how you build your company.
How so?
You have to move away from being a product-centric business and become a truly customer-centric business.
Okay, let's unpack the difference there. Because I feel like most founders think they are customer-centric just because they have a support email address or they reply to comments on Instagram.
Right, which isn't the same thing at all.
Yeah.
The Blueprint shares a phenomenal story about Perry Belcher to illustrate this. He's a highly successful direct response marketer. The author of our source material noticed a fundamental difference in how Perry actually operated his businesses.
What was he doing differently?
Perry's companies didn't just invent a product and then try to sell it. They built a customer avatar first. That fictional representation of their absolute ideal buyer drove literally every subsequent decision in the company. It dictated what products they invented, the design of the packaging, the color palette of the ads, the specific vocabulary used in the sales copy. Everything bowed to the avatar.
Wow. So contrast that with how, 95% of businesses actually start today?
Oh, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Typically, an entrepreneur has an idea for a product, a new piece of software, a new physical gadget, a new coaching framework.
Right.
They lock themselves in a room for months, sometimes years, perfecting it. They obsess over the features, the UI design, the manufacturing tolerances. They pour all their capital into product development. They build a hyper-focused, product-centric company.
And then the tragic moment arrives.
Yes, the product is finally finished. It's beautiful. It's flawless. And the founder looks up from their workbench, blinks, and says, "Okay, now who on earth do I sell this to?"
It is the ultimate field of dreams fallacy. If you build it, they will come. I have seen brilliant engineers and visionary founders completely bankrupt themselves because they feel entitled to customers just because their product is objectively high quality. They assume the market is a pure meritocracy, but the market is ruthless.
So ruthless.
The market does not care how many sleepless nights you spent writing the code. The market does not care about your elegant manufacturing process.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Without a deep understanding of the customer and a strategy to actually reach them, your revolutionary, world-changing idea is just that.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, sitting quietly in a warehouse or on a GitHub repository gathering dust.
So sad.
To prevent this specific tragedy, the Blueprint references a concept from Robert Collier. He's another legendary copywriter from the early 20th century.
Okay, what did he say?
In his letter book, Collier wrote what is arguably the most important sentence in the history of marketing. He said, "You must enter the conversation already taking place in the customer's mind."
Enter the conversation already taking place in the customer's mind. That's a brilliant metaphor. But what does that actually look like operationally? Like, how do I, as a business owner, step into someone else's head?
It connects directly back to what Eugene Schwartz said about not creating desire. To enter the conversation means you are not trying to inception a brand new alien concept into someone's brain.
Okay.
You aren't walking up to someone who is happily going about their day and trying to convince them out of thin air that they suddenly need a new CRM software. Instead, You are identifying a specific pain, an anxiety, or an ambition that they are already obsessing over.
Oh, it's the incessant internal monologue.
Yes.
The things they are lying awake at night stressing about at 2 a.m., the things they complain to their spouse about over dinner.
Exactly. They are already having an ongoing emotionally charged internal dialogue about this problem. Your job as a marketer is simply to step into that existing stream of thought, validate it, and then smoothly direct its momentum toward your solution.
So if I am listening to this right now, I really need to realize that I must obsess over who my dream customer is and what they are thinking about long before I ever worry about where to find them on the internet.
100%.
I need to know their fears and desires better than they know them themselves. But let's get really practical here. Human psychology is vast, right? It's chaotic. If we need to enter the conversation in their minds, what exactly are they usually talking about in there?
Well, the blueprint distills all of this chaos into a remarkably simple, unifying framework. It argues that there are really only 3 core conversations happening in the human mind.
Just 3?
Just 3. They're called the 3 core desires. And the claim is that every single product, service, software, or coaching offer on the planet, no matter how niche or complex it seems, ultimately fits into one of these 3 categories: health, wealth, or relationships.
Health, wealth, or relationships. That's it.
That is the bedrock of human motivation. Think about it. When human beings are expending energy or spending money to improve their lives, they are ultimately trying to do one of 3 things.
Okay.
1, they're trying to get healthier, live longer, and feel better in their physical bodies. 2, they are trying to increase their wealth, their resources, and their societal status. Or 3, they are trying to improve their relationships, find love, foster connections, and avoid isolation. Everything maps back to those 3 pillars.
Okay, I have to challenge this.
I figured you might.
Because I know there are operators listening right now thinking, my product definitely doesn't fit into any of those buckets. So let's stress test this framework. Let's start with something incredibly mundane and highly commoditized.
Sure.
A razor blade, a standard disposable plastic razor blade. How on earth is a piece of sharpened steel encased in plastic categorized as health, wealth, or relationships?
It is the perfect test case.
Yeah.
Honestly, precisely because the physical object itself is completely meaningless.
Right.
A piece of sharpened steel has no inherent emotional desire attached to it whatsoever. The desire does not live in the product. The desire lives in the marketing message you attach to the product.
Okay, prove it. Turn a razor blade into wealth.
Easy. Let's say I'm targeting young, ambitious professionals. I market that exact same razor blade with a campaign that says something like, get a flawless razor-sharp shave so you exude confidence and command absolute authority in the boardroom for your big VP promotion interview tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
What desire am I tapping into?
Wealth. Because the ultimate goal in the customer's mind isn't just the absence of facial hair. The goal is the promotion. It's the salary bump, the status elevation.
Exactly.
The razor is literally just the vehicle to achieve the wealth.
Right. Now let's take the physical product, the exact same steel, same plastic, but I changed the marketing message. My new campaign says, get a remarkably smooth, touchable shave so you look and feel irresistible for your anniversary date tonight.
And just like that, it's relationships.
Yep. The physical product didn't change one iota, but the specific psychological conversation you entered in the customer's mind shifted entirely.
Okay, let's push your challenge even further then, because B2C is one thing. Let's take something notoriously complex and unsexy, B2B enterprise software.
Oh, I love this one.
Let's say you sell a multi-million-dollar supply chain logistics and inventory management SaaS platform to massive corporations. How does that possibly fit into health, wealth, or relationships?
This is exactly where most B2B marketers fail so miserably. They think they are selling efficiency or API integrations or synergy.
Right, the buzzwords.
Yeah, they act like B2B buyers are perfectly rational robots who don't have emotions.
Which is completely false.
Yeah.
A corporation doesn't buy software. A human being with a job title inside that corporation buys the software.
Exactly. Let's say the buyer is the director of procurement.
Yeah.
If you sell the software based on the wealth desire, your message is, our platform will identify a 15% reduction in supply chain waste, saving the company millions, making you look like an absolute genius to the CEO, and guaranteeing your massive end-of-year bonus.
It's pure status and financial gain for the individual buyer, not the company, the buyer.
Exactly. Or you sell it based on relationships. Your message shifts to, Our automated tracking eliminates inventory emergencies. Stop fighting with the warehouse team. Stop dealing with angry phone calls from suppliers. And most importantly, stop staying at the office until 9 p.m. on Fridays wrestling with spreadsheets. Go home and see your kids.
That is incredibly powerful. You are selling the reduction of interpersonal friction at work and the restoration of family time at home.
Yes.
The multi-million-dollar B2B software is, again, just the vehicle. But this raises a critical question about execution. The blueprint is very, very adamant about a specific rule here. It states that you must pick just one core desire for your marketing message.
Yes. Only one.
Why? I mean, if my logistics software gets the guy his bonus and lets him go home to his kids early, shouldn't I blast both of those benefits in the exact same ad? Doesn't stacking the benefits make the product inherently more valuable?
It seems totally logical on the surface, but neurologically, it is a disaster.
Really?
Yes. If you try to speak to two completely different, emotionally intense conversations happening in the mind at the exact same time, you do not double the impact. You actually divide the attention and you create cognitive dissonance.
You dilute the potency of the empathy.
Exactly. A confused mind always defaults to no. It requires way too much caloric energy for the brain to process two separate emotional appeals simultaneously.
Right.
Think about it. If a procurement director is currently in a state of sheer panic because his warehouse team is threatening to quit over inventory errors, he is entirely focused on the relationship friction.
Is he putting out a fire?
If you try to talk to him about his end-of-year bonus in that exact moment, it feels completely tone-deaf. You have failed to meet him where his immediate, acute emotional intensity is focused.
Now, to be clear, you can have different marketing campaigns for the same product, right? Like you can run a wealth campaign on LinkedIn and a relationships campaign via direct email.
Oh, absolutely.
But any single specific message, like one ad, one landing page, one sales email, that must be laser focused on just one core desire.
Because if you try to be everything to everyone in a single breath, you end up meaning nothing to anyone.
Okay, so the immediate actionable takeaway for the operator listening right now, look at your primary landing page.
Right.
Look at your best performing ad. Does it clearly, undeniably satisfy one of these three desires? Are you selling health, wealth, or relationships?
Right.
If it's a muddled mix of all three, or worse, if it's literally just a bulleted list of product features with absolutely no emotional anchor, you are bleeding conversions. Pick one.
Yes. And once you have decisively identified the core desire you are targeting, the next layer of the blueprint requires determining the direction of that desire.
Ah, direction.
And this concept is rooted deeply in fundamental behavioral psychology.
Yeah, because once you know what desire is driving them, you need to understand which direction they are running on the psychological spectrum. The text breaks this down into two binary motivational directions, right? Moving away from pain versus moving toward pleasure.
Virtually every significant decision a human being makes is driven by one of those two opposing forces. We are either desperately trying to escape something that hurts physically, financially, or emotionally, or we are ambitiously trying to acquire something that feels good.
Right.
And the critical nuance for marketers is that the internal monologue, that conversation, in their mind we're trying to enter, sounds vastly different depending on which direction they're moving, even if the end goal is exactly the same.
Let's unpack this with a tangible example. Let's stay in the health category for a moment just to make the contrast super obvious. Let's say we're selling a premium nutritional coaching program.
Okay, if your target customer is moving away from pain in a health category, their internal monologue is dark. It is immediate, it might sound like. My lower back hurts so much I literally cannot pick up my toddler. Or I am so chronically exhausted I'm falling asleep at my desk and my boss is noticing. Or I feel physically disgusted when I look in the mirror.
Wow.
These people are not looking for optimization. They're bleeding. They're desperate for a tourniquet. They need a cure.
That makes total sense. But look at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Same category health, but the customer is moving toward pleasure.
Right.
They aren't sick. They aren't in chronic pain. They are looking for an enhancement, an evolution. Their internal monologue is entirely aspirational, like, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon, or I want to finally get a visible six-pack for my beach vacation this summer, or I want to optimize my VO2 max and increase my longevity so I can hike the Alps when I'm 80.
The product you are selling, the nutritional coaching, the meal plans, the macros, might be exactly the same for both people. But imagine the catastrophic failure of running an ad featuring a 22-year-old fitness model talking about shredding for summer And putting that in front of a 45-year-old parent who is desperate just to get out of chronic joint pain so they can hold their kid.
It would completely bounce off them. The message would be invisible. You haven't just failed to enter their conversation, you've walked into the wrong room entirely.
Which leads to what I consider the most valuable practical application in this entire section of the blueprint. The author states that if you paid him $100,000 for a private consulting day, this specific exercise is the very first thing he would force you to do before you ever opened a laptop or looked at an ad account.
$100,000. Okay, let's do the $100,000 exercise right now, because this is where theory becomes operational reality. It is basically an exercise in radical empathy.
It is. The exercise is simple in concept, but requires intense psychological labor. You take a physical piece of paper. For your specific dream customer, you must write out a minimum of a dozen phrases they are saying in their own heads on a loop regarding their pain.
Okay.
What are the exact verbatim words they use when they are complaining to themselves in the shower? What exact words do they use when they are venting to their spouse? Then you take a second piece of paper and write out a dozen phrases they use when they are vividly dreaming about pleasure and the ideal outcome.
Let's do this live. Let's go back to our B2B enterprise logistics software example. I want to prove this works for complex, high-ticket industries, not just fitness and dating.
Perfect.
We are selling to the director of procurement. Let's start with the pain phrases. What is the conversation in his head as he is moving away from pain?
A pain phrase for him isn't, "My supply chain is inefficient."
Right, that's just corporate jargon.
Exactly. The conversation in his head sounds like this. If that container ship from Shenzhen is delayed one more week, the CFO is going to have my head on a spike. Or, I am so incredibly sick of opening my inbox on Monday mornings and seeing a dozen fires I have to put out before I even get a cup of coffee. Or, I swear, if this legacy inventory spreadsheet crashes on me at 11 p.m. one more time, I'm going to throw my laptop out the window.
Spot on. It's visceral. It's highly emotional. Now let's flip to the pleasure phrases, the aspirational internal monologue.
I want a single real-time dashboard I can project on the wall during the Q3 board meeting that proves I cut operational waste by 20%.
Oh, that's good.
Or, I want to be recognized as the visionary who finally modernized this dinosaur of a company. Or simply, I want to be able to leave my phone in the car when I go to my kid's soccer game on Saturday because I know the system is running itself.
Think about this, listener. If you take the time to document these internal phrases, what you're essentially doing is building a highly weaponized, evergreen library of marketing hooks.
You really are. You are extracting the raw code of their desire.
Yes. When you know the exact emotional words they use in private, you can reflect those exact words back to them in the headline of an ad, or in the subject line of an email, or in the opening hook of a video.
And the psychological effect of doing that is profound. When a human being hears their own unarticulated internal thoughts spoken back to them by a total stranger, they experience a jarring sense of recognition. They instantly feel understood.
It builds trust instantly.
Exactly. In human psychology, there is a powerful heuristic. We implicitly trust and buy from those who we believe deeply understand our problem. If you can articulate my problem better than I can, my brain automatically assumes you have the solution.
Empathy as a scalable operational strategy, it is so much deeper and more effective than traditional demographic targeting. I don't care if they're 35 years old and live in Ohio. I care about the dialogue in their head at 2 a.m. Okay, so we have built the foundation. We know exactly who they are. We know what they want, health, wealth, or relationships. And we know which direction they are running away from pain or toward pleasure. Now, the final piece of the puzzle. How do we actually physically locate them on the internet to deliver this message?
To understand how to find them, the blueprint takes a really fascinating evolutionary detour to explain the two core archetypes of traffic on the internet. It traces our behavior all the way back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors.
This makes perfect sense when you think about it. Because hundreds of thousands of years ago, if you were experiencing the pain of hunger, which is a health desire, right, you couldn't just sit in your cave and wait for a solution. You had to actively go search for food. You had to hunt or forage.
You had to expend energy.
Right. And as society evolved and became more complex, we outsourced the hunting to commerce. We built physical stores. If you experienced the pain of a broken shelf in your house, you didn't invent a tool. You drove to the hardware store and explicitly searched the aisles for a hammer.
And today, in the digital era, that deeply ingrained foraging behavior has evolved into the search engine. Google, YouTube, Amazon. This is the first fundamental category of internet traffic. The searcher.
Define the psychology of the searcher for us.
The searcher is entirely driven by specific, immediate intent. People do not go to Google to hang out. They do not go there to be entertained by the algorithm.
No.
They go to a search engine because they have identified a specific problem in their life, and they are actively, aggressively looking for a solution. They type in a query like, Best Enterprise Logistics Software 2026, or How to Cure Lower Back Pain, because they are in motion.
From a marketer's perspective, the pros of this traffic are blindingly obvious. These are incredibly hot buyers.
The hottest.
They are already problem-aware and solution-aware. It is the digital equivalent of a customer walking into your physical store, pulling their wallet out of their pocket, walking right up to the counter and asking, where do you keep the hammer?
Yes, you don't have to convince them they need a hammer.
Yeah,
you just have to facilitate the transaction.
It is high-intent, high-converting traffic. But there is a massive, often fatal con to search-based traffic that inexperienced marketers completely overlook, isn't there?
There is a huge con. When a searcher is actively looking for a solution, they are very rarely just looking at you. They are in a state of active comparative evaluation.
They have 5 different browser tabs open at the same time.
Exactly. They have your website open, and they have the websites of your 4 biggest competitors open right next to it. They are ruthlessly comparing your feature set against theirs. They are reading third-party reviews on Reddit. And most dangerously, they are comparing your price.
So it's a race to the bottom.
Exactly. Unless you have a truly monopolistic, vastly superior product that cannot be replicated, or unless you possess a radically unique brand positioning, search traffic often devolves into a brutal race to the bottom on price. It is a highly competitive, commoditized, cutthroat environment. You are basically fighting in a blood ocean.
Which brings us to the necessity of the second category. If the first archetype is the searcher, what is the second?
The second category is the scroller. This encompasses all the traffic generated by algorithmic social media feeds. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. This is the traffic of interruption.
Interruption. This requires a completely different psychological approach, right?
Totally different.
Because the scroller is the person sitting on their couch at 8 p.m., exhausted from work, mindlessly swiping up on their phone. They are not looking for a solution to their problems. In fact, they are likely scrolling specifically to avoid thinking about their problems.
Right. They're looking for a dopamine hit. They want to see pictures of their friends' vacations, they want to laugh at a meme, or they want tribal validation from a political post.
Their intent to purchase is effectively zero.
Zero. The obvious con here is that they are cold traffic. They are completely distracted. But the massive, world-changing, and this is exactly where the largest digital fortunes of the last decade have actually been made, is that if you can successfully interrupt their scrolling pattern, you possess a temporary monopoly on their attention.
A monopoly on attention. Explain that dynamic, because that's huge.
When you capture a scroller, they do not have 5 other browser tabs open. They're not looking at your competitors, because you interrupted them with a highly targeted emotional message, perhaps using those exact internal pain phrases we uncovered in the 100K exercise. You have completely bypassed the logical, comparative shopping part of their brain.
Wow.
You have taken them out of a commoditized evaluation mindset and plunged them directly into an emotional buying mindset. You are the only solution in their universe for that brief window of time.
I love the real-world analogy for this. It's the difference between the person walking into the hardware store asking for a hammer, that's the searcher, versus someone walking through a busy shopping mall and being stopped by one of those kiosk vendors in the middle of the aisle.
The scroller.
The scroller. The person in the mall did not wake up that morning thinking, I need to spend $100 on a drone today, or I need a completely new skincare routine. But the vendor physically interrupted their path, demonstrated the value of the product instantly, hit an emotional trigger, and created a spontaneous impulse buy.
And crucially, the customer bought it right then and there. They didn't pull out their phone to see if Amazon sold a cheaper version of the drone.
Exactly. That is the sheer power of the interruption model. But to execute it, you have to master the specific mechanics of algorithmic interruption. The blueprint calls this the hook, story, offer framework.
Yes. Because the scroller is not looking for you, your hook has to be devastatingly effective. And it's not just about being loud or flashing bright colors on the screen. It is about cognitive pattern violation.
Pattern violation.
Yes. The brain is lulled into a rhythm when scrolling. Swipe, dopamine, swipe, dopamine. Your hook, Whether it's an arresting visual, a deeply relatable statement using their exact pain phrases, or a totally counterintuitive claim, it must be jarring enough to physically stop their thumb from swiping. It must violate their expectations.
And if you fail the hook.
If you fail the hook, the rest of your marketing literally does not exist. They are gone.
But once you stop the thumb, what happens next?
You have earned a very, very brief window, measured in seconds, to transition into a story. The story is where you build the empathy. You validate their pain or amplify their desire. You show them that you understand the conversation already happening in their head. And as that emotional resonance peaks, you pivot to the offer, the irresistible, frictionless next step they can take to acquire the solution.
The ultimate actionable takeaway here for the listener is realizing that it is operational suicide to use the exact same marketing message for a searcher that you use for a scroller.
Oh, it's terrible.
But I see companies do this all the time. They take a 60-second, highly emotional narrative video designed to interrupt a scroller on Facebook, and they use it as an ad on Google search.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
The searcher gets infuriated. They just searched for a plumber near me. They have a burst pipe flooding their kitchen, and you are trying to tell them a heartfelt story about how your grandfather started the plumbing business in 1942. They will bounce immediately.
Conversely, if you take a highly logical, feature-heavy price comparison ad designed for Google search and you just drop it into an Instagram feed
They swipe right past
in
it.
a millisecond, because there was no emotional hook to break their trance, you have to meticulously match your strategy, your copy, and your creative to the specific psychological state of the user on that specific platform at that exact moment.
Man, this has been an incredibly dense, profound deep dive. We have covered a massive amount of ground from just this introductory section of the blueprint. We've gone from the existential dread of algorithmic platform risk down into the bedrock of human desire and back up to the tactical execution of capturing attention.
That's a lot.
Let's bring this all together. Let's synthesize these disparate concepts into one clear, unifying insight that represents the absolute soul of what we've unpacked today.
If we pull the lens all the way back and synthesize the Thanos snap, the shift from product-centric to customer-centric, the three core desires, the pain-pleasure spectrum, and the psychology of searchers versus scrollers, the ultimate revelation is really this. The great secret to acquiring traffic and building a sustainable business is not a line of code.
It's not.
It is not an underground software hack. And it is certainly not praying to the algorithm of a massive tech conglomerate.
The ultimate secret to traffic is deep, profound, almost uncomfortable empathy.
Yes, empathy.
It is the rigorous, continuous work of knowing your dream customer's pains, fears, and desires so intimately that you can effortlessly enter the conversation already happening in their mind. You have to know them deeply enough to be the precise answer they are actively searching for and compelling enough to wake them up when they are mindlessly scrolling.
And if you build the foundation of your enterprise on the permanent, unchanging architecture of human behavior, no algorithm update, no Google slap, and no Facebook snap can ever destroy what you have built. You become platform agnostic.
The delivery tools will constantly change. The digital platforms will rise, monetize, and eventually fall. But the underlying psychology of why human beings take action and spend money, that is permanent. Master the psychology and the technology becomes a minor detail.
Exactly.
I want to leave everyone listening with a final practical challenge today, an exercise in self-awareness. Over the next 48 hours, I want you to rigorously audit your own behavior on the internet. Every time you click an ad, sign up for a newsletter, or make a purchase on your phone, stop and ask yourself, why did I just do that?
That's a great exercise.
Were you running away from an acute pain, or were you being pulled toward an aspirational pleasure? And critically, did they catch you actively searching for an answer, or did their hook successfully interrupt your mindless scrolling? Start reverse engineering the marketing that actually works on you. Analyze your own psychological triggers, and you will start to see the matrix of how this entire ecosystem actually operates.
It really is a phenomenal exercise. Once you train your brain to look for the hook, story, and offer, and once you start identifying the underlying health, wealth, or relationship desires in every single ad you see, you can never look at the internet the same way again.
Never. Now that we have established exactly who your dream customer is, what deeply held desires drive their decisions, and the psychological state they are in when they use different platforms, the only question remaining is execution. Where exactly in the vast, chaotic landscape of the internet are these specific people already congregating, just waiting for you to step in and find them? We will dive into the exact methodologies for locating those hidden congregations next time. You know, building the best product in the world is actually the fastest way to fail.
Right. It sounds crazy, but it's true.
Well, it is true if you don't know exactly who you're building it for.
Oh, absolutely.
You see people spend, like, thousands of hours coding, designing, just obsessing over every little feature.
Pouring their entire life savings into inventory or, software development.
Exactly. And then they finally hit launch, they release it into the wild, and it's just crickets.
Complete silence.
It's the most terrifying moment for any creator. You sit there wondering, I built it, why aren't they coming?
Because it shatters this whole romantic field of dreams fallacy that we all kind of want to believe.
Right. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, we want to believe the market is a pure meritocracy. Like if the software is bug-free or the coffee is perfectly roasted, the universe will just magically route customers to your door.
Which is just not how it works.
Not at all. When you step into the actual mechanics of customer acquisition, you realize attention doesn't work like that. Attention is highly guarded.
People are busy.
Right, people don't care about your product. They care about themselves.
Which brings us perfectly to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are digging into Chapter 2, exploring the art, the science, and the underlying psychology of finding your dream customer.
It's such a foundational topic.
It really is. For anyone trying to build a business, an audience, or movement, this is the bedrock. Traffic isn't some magic thing you create, right?
No, it's not just a metric on a dashboard.
Exactly. Traffic is a group of real, complex human beings. You have to discover them, understand their deepest anxieties, and then invite them into your world.
And before you even think about algorithms or, SEO or the mechanics of a Facebook ad campaign, you have to master this human psychology.
Because if you skip that step...
If you skip this anthropological step,
Yeah.
any marketing infrastructure you build is just built on sand. You end up optimizing a message that literally no one wants to hear.
So true. Let's start with a story from the source material that completely reframes how corporate marketing actually operates behind closed doors.
Oh, the Perry Belcher story. I love this one.
Yes. So there's this entrepreneur, Perry Belcher, and he secures this massive pitch meeting with the executives at Sally Beauty Supply.
Which is a huge deal.
A massive deal. He's thrilled. He walks in with these incredibly well-formulated, innovative products.
Right. He's ready to crush it.
So he pulls out his first item, which is this new, highly fragrant, scented hand sanitizer. He pitches the formulation, the margins, the whole 9 yards.
And what happens?
The lead executive looks at it, sniffs it, and just deadpans, I don't know if Alexis will like this.
Which is a wild thing to say in a corporate boardroom.
Right, yeah. Usually they talk about shelf space or wholesale costs or competitor saturation.
Yeah, not some random person named Alexis.
Exactly. But Perry just rolls with it. He puts the sanitizer away and pulls out his flagship product.
The UV nail polish.
Yep, a brand new UV nail polish that cures instantly. He hands it around the table. The executives examine the packaging, they discuss the application process, and again, the consensus is, yeah, I'm pretty sure Alexis won't like this either.
I can just imagine his face.
Perry is completely lost. He finally stops the pitch and asks, I'm sorry, who is Alexis? Is she the CEO? The head buyer? Who am I supposed to be pitching?
And the whole room just starts laughing?
They erupt into laughter. They explain to him that Alexis isn't an employee. Alexis isn't even a real person.
Right. She is their customer avatar.
But the crazy part is, she isn't just some generic demographic profile sitting in a forgotten PDF on a server somewhere.
Oh no, they take this very seriously.
They physically walk him into another room in the corporate headquarters, and there is an entire wall dedicated entirely to Alexis.
A literal physical wall.
Yes, it's this vivid, hyper-specific manifestation. There's a photograph of a fictitious woman. There's a deeply detailed biography.
It lists, exactly how many kids she has, right?
Her kids, the make and model of the car she drives, the specific magazines she reads, her household income.
Even her daily frustrations and long-term aspirations.
Yeah.
Every executive in that building knows Alexis intimately.
It's a radical shift in perspective. Sally Beauty Supply doesn't view themselves as a company that sells beauty products.
Right, they view themselves as a company that serves Alexis.
Exactly. If a product is objectively brilliant, scientifically superior, and offers incredible profit margins,
But it doesn't align perfectly with Alexis's worldview and habits.
it gets rejected,
Yeah.
period. The product doesn't matter. The alignment with the avatar is the only metric of success.
And this is the critical pivot, right? From being product-centric to being customer-centric.
Which is where so many people mess up.
Because when a company obsessively focuses only on their product, they are highly vulnerable.
How so?
Well, think about it. Technologies change. Cheaper manufacturing emerges overseas.
Mm.
Trends shift. The product inevitably becomes obsolete.
Right, someone will always build a cheaper widget.
Exactly. But if you are obsessed with a specific demographic, if you're obsessed with Alexis, you simply adapt your offerings as her needs evolve. You maintain the relationship.
And the relationship is the actual asset.
100%.
But the fear, though, and I hear this all the time from new entrepreneurs, is this fear of exclusion.
Oh, the fear of missing out on sales.
Yeah. If I build a profile of Alexis, and she's a 34-year-old mother of two who drives a Honda Odyssey and loves yoga, aren't I artificially cutting out the 19-year-old college student?
Or the 55-year-old retiree.
Exactly. People are terrified of losing potential revenue by being too specific.
It's the most common trap in modern business.
Mm.
The instinct is always to cast the widest net possible.
Our product is for everyone.
Right. But when you try to speak to everyone, your messaging becomes so diluted, so aggressively bland, that it resonates with absolutely no one.
It's just noise.
You have to understand the psychology of hyperspecificity. When someone reads your marketing, they shouldn't think, oh, this is a good product.
What should they think?
They should think, this company was built entirely for me. You cannot achieve that level of cognitive resonance if you are hedging your bets and trying not to alienate anyone.
It makes me think about buying a birthday gift.
Okay, how so?
Well, if I have to buy a gift for a totally random 30-year-old coworker that I barely know, I'm just wandering the aisles of a big box store in a state of mild panic.
Totally. You're looking for something inoffensive.
Right. I buy a generic candle or like a Starbucks gift card. The gift is weak. The emotional impact is zero.
It's because you don't know them.
But if I'm buying a gift for my absolute best friend, I know exactly what to get. I know their obscure hobbies, their weird inside jokes, the exact book they've been talking about for months.
You can buy something highly specific that makes them light up.
Exactly. Your marketing has to feel exactly like that best friend gift.
That is a perfect analogy. The friction of building an avatar is entirely about making hard choices regarding who you won't serve.
You have to draw a line in the sand.
The companies that disrupted massive, entrenched industries over the last decade. Think about specialized software companies beating out legacy tech giants. They did it through this exact mechanism.
They didn't have larger budgets.
No, they just had a much, much clearer picture of exactly who they were talking to. They built the inside jokes into their marketing.
So if a legacy retail chain has a physical wall in their office for Alexis, the mandate for someone building a digital business today is even heavier.
Oh, way heavier.
Right.
We aren't relying on broad Nielsen ratings anymore.
Right. We have access to the most granular behavioral data in human history. A digital entrepreneur shouldn't just know Alexis's income.
What else do they need to know?
They should know which specific subreddits she lurks in at midnight, which niche micro-influencers she inherently trusts, and what exact search terms she uses when she's frustrated.
You are building a digital anthropology of this person.
But there's an immediate roadblock here for a lot of people.
And the cost.
Right. It is very easy to conceptualize a massive corporation with $1 million R&D budget hiring behavioral psychologists to build out this perfect data-driven avatar.
Sure.
How does an individual operating out of their living room construct an accurate Alexis without just guessing or projecting their own biases onto a fictitious wall?
It's the ultimate barrier to entry, right? If you can't afford focus groups, how do you know who Alexis is?
Exactly. And the most reliable, battle-tested answer from the source material is a concept summarized by the phrase, "Your mess becomes your message."
Ah, the Nicholas Bale quote.
Yes. This concept fundamentally reorients how people should think about finding a niche.
The premise here is that the most fiercely loyal customer bases are built around solving a profound problem, a mess that the entrepreneur actually experienced firsthand.
You don't have to hire a focus group if you are the focus group.
Exactly. You were in the absolute thick of it.
You hit a wall in your life, your health, your business, or your relationships. You suffered. You scoured the earth looking for a solution, a tool, a framework.
And when you realized the market didn't have a good answer, you were forced, out of sheer desperation, to engineer the solution yourself.
A perfect illustration of this from the chapter is the coaching empire built by Stacy and Paul Martino.
Their story is incredible.
It really is. Their business did not originate from a desire to enter the lucrative relationship coaching market. It originated because their own marriage was imploding.
They were experiencing the exact visceral pain, the terrifying late-night arguments, the absolute despair of a failing relationship.
They went to traditional therapy, read the books, tried the conventional wisdom, and found it completely lacking.
So they went on a radical, desperate journey to engineer a unique framework to save their own family.
And because they built it in the trenches, it actually worked. Now, they use those exact tools to help other couples.
And the statistics surrounding their program are staggering.
Right. In a cultural environment where the baseline divorce rate sits around 50%, the couples who utilize the Martinos framework have a reported 1% divorce rate.
1%, that's unbelievable.
It's insane. You have to look at the underlying mechanism driving that success rate.
It's not just that the logistical steps of their curriculum are clever.
No. The success stems from a profound depth of lived empathy.
The Martinos do not have to guess what their Alexis is feeling.
They don't have to run a survey to find out what keeps a struggling husband or wife awake at night. They lived it.
They possess an intimate, visceral understanding of the secret fears and the specific, desperate goals of their audience.
There is a specific timeline of empathy at play here. When you are the creator of a solution born from your own mess, you are essentially just a few years ahead of your customer on the exact same chronological path.
You are the guide who just recently navigated the minefield. You know exactly where the explosives are buried.
But the real superpower isn't just knowing the map, it's remembering the precise emotional terror of being lost in the middle of it.
Because empathy, in a commercial sense, is the ability to re-enter the actual conversation that is currently happening inside your customer's mind.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah, when you can articulate a person's pain with more clarity than they can articulate it themselves, they unconsciously and immediately credit you with possessing the solution.
But it requires you to tap back into a state of mind you probably work very hard to escape.
Which is uncomfortable.
Very. But I'm getting hung up on this, though. The Martino story is incredible because it's a one-to-one match. They solve their own divorce, now they help others with divorce.
Right.
But what if the business I'm building has nothing to do with my own personal trauma or daily life?
Give me an example.
Let's say I'm a 25-year-old software developer. I've realized there is a massive inefficiency in how dental practices schedule their hygienists. So I build a brilliant piece of scheduling software specifically for dentists.
Okay, makes sense.
But I am not a dentist. I don't own a clinic. I have never experienced a quote-unquote dental scheduling mess.
Right.
Does this entire theory of empathy and avatars fall apart if I am not my own dream customer?
It doesn't fall apart, but it requires a significantly higher degree of deliberate effort.
So what do I do?
If your mess is not their message, you have to engage in artificial immersion. You have to become a digital anthropologist.
Because I can't rely on my own intuition.
Exactly. Your intuition as a 25-year-old coder is completely alien to the daily reality of a 50-year-old dental practice owner.
So how does that coder actually build that empathy? They can't just shadow a dentist for 5 years.
No, but they can infiltrate the digital ecosystems where those dentists congregate when their guard is down.
Oh, interesting. Where do you find that?
You don't look at their professional LinkedIn profiles where everything is polished and corporate. You go to the private Facebook groups for dental practice management.
The hidden corners of the internet.
Yeah, you scour the highly specific subreddits where dentists anonymously vent about their staff. You read the comment sections on obscure dental industry YouTube videos.
And what am I looking for? Feature requests?
No. You aren't looking for feature requests for your software. You are looking for the emotional vocabulary of their frustration.
So I'm looking to absorb the trauma.
Precisely. You are taking meticulous notes on the exact phrasing they use.
Give me an example of what that looks like.
Okay, so when a dentist logs on at 8 p.m. after a brutal 12-hour shift and takes a furious rant about how a scheduling mix-up cost them $3,000 and caused them to miss their daughter's piano recital.
Oh, wow.
That is the gold.
Yeah.
You write down those exact words, you are systematically mapping their internal monologue until you can echo it back to them in your marketing.
You have to bridge the empathy gap through sheer observational rigor.
Exactly.
It really highlights that the mess, whether it's your own lived experience or one you've deeply researched, is always emotional. It's never just mechanical.
Right. The dentist isn't mad about a clunky user interface.
They are mad about missing the piano recital.
Yes. Tapping into that specific emotional memory or discovering it through deep listening is the ultimate leverage.
Because when a customer reads a landing page and gets that chilling sensation of, wow, it's like they're reading my diary, all skepticism vanishes.
And empathy is the ultimate conversion tool. It lowers the defensive barriers the modern consumer constantly walks around with.
Which brings us to the next structural layer of understanding this customer. Once we have the empathy,
Right, once we know exactly who Alexis is and what her specific daily frustrations are.
we have to categorize the ultimate overarching goal she is trying to achieve. Empathy is the foundation, but to actually construct a compelling offer, we need to understand the architecture of human desire.
We have to know which of the universal desires she is frantically trying to satisfy.
This is where we distill the infinite complexity of human behavior down to its absolute bedrock.
Anthropologically speaking, every single product, service, or piece of art ever purchased in the history of humanity is an attempt to achieve a result in one of three core arenas:
The big three.
health, wealth, or relationships.
It sounds almost insultingly simple when you first hear it. It feels reductive.
It does, but when you really start testing it against any purchase, it holds up perfectly.
We are biologically wired for survival, resource accumulation, and tribal integration. Every purchase is an attempt to elevate our status or security in one of those three pillars.
It is the trinity of desire. And the framework comes with a massive, non-negotiable rule.
A rule that businesses violate every single day to their own detriment.
Your marketing message for any specific campaign or product can only focus on one of these desires at a time.
So I can't promise health and wealth.
If you attempt to target two desires simultaneously, if you try to tell the customer that your product will make them both wealthy and healthy, your conversions will absolutely plummet.
The drop-off is often catastrophic, sometimes reducing effectiveness by 90% or more.
We have to unpack the psychology of why that happens.
Yeah, why does pitching two massive benefits trigger such immediate rejection from the consumer?
Right.
If I see an ad for a new piece of productivity software and it says, use this to double your agency's revenue and it will free up so much time it'll save your failing marriage, my brain instantly categorizes it as garbage. Why?
It comes down to the evolutionary heuristic of snake oil. The human brain is highly attuned to trade-offs.
Okay, walk me through that.
In the natural world, a single plant doesn't cure both a broken bone and a fever. Biology requires specialization.
That makes sense.
When a marketer comes along and promises a lack of trade-offs, when they promise that a single pill or a single software will fix entirely disparate areas of your life, it violates our inherent understanding of how reality works.
It dilutes the core promise. A message that promises everything is instinctively believed to deliver nothing.
Exactly. It triggers the cognitive load of skepticism. Your brain has to work too hard to verify the claim, so it takes the path of least resistance, which is rejection.
It feels like a scam. We trust specialists. We do not trust generalists who claim to hold the keys to all human happiness.
There is a brilliant exercise from the chapter that illustrates just how deeply this singular focus alters a product's perception.
The Steve J. Larson exercise. I love this one.
Yes, the marketer Steve J. Larson does this demonstration where he stands in front of a room of entrepreneurs and puts a massive picture of a Rolex watch on the screen.
He asks the audience, what core desire does a Rolex satisfy? Health, wealth, or relationships?
And naturally, the entire room immediately shouts, "Wealth!"
Because a Rolex is the quintessential, universally recognized status symbol of having made it financially. It is a heavy, metallic broadcast of accumulated resources.
Right, but then Larson flips the slide. He puts up a specific vintage Rolex advertisement.
What's on the slide?
It's a black and white photo of an older man, a father, proudly handing a Rolex down to his son on his graduation day.
Oh, wow.
The copy usually says something about how you never truly own a Rolex, you merely look after it for the next generation.
And then Larson asks the room again, what desire is this ad satisfying?
And the realization hits the room like a wave. That specific ad is not selling wealth, it is selling relationships.
It is selling continuity, legacy, and the cementation of the father-son bond.
But here's the critical insight. The physical product hasn't changed by a single atom.
It is the exact same arrangement of metal, gears, and glass.
But the psychological positioning has shifted entirely based on which of the three desires the marketing campaign is targeting.
If you want to sell that Rolex to a 30-year-old day trader who just had his first $1 million year, you are selling wealth.
You need an aggressive, status-driven ad, a sleek landing page, and copy that speaks to dominance and arrival.
But if you want to sell that exact same physical watch to a 60-year-old patriarch looking to leave an heirloom, you need a completely different ad, a completely different funnel, and a completely different emotional vocabulary.
You cannot mix them.
Yeah.
You cannot run an ad that says, show your coworkers you're rich and bond with your son. It destroys the elegance of the pitch.
Let's apply this to a modern B2B context because it's not just about luxury goods. Think about communication software. Think about Slack versus Microsoft Teams.
Oh, that's a perfect contrast.
Yeah.
They are functionally identical.
Right. They are both chat channels, video calls, and file sharing. But they sold entirely different desires to achieve market dominance.
Precisely. When Slack launched, they aggressively targeted relationships. Their marketing wasn't entirely about raw output. It was about culture.
It was about emojis, seamless integration, creating a cool, connected tribal environment for remote workers. It felt like the digital water cooler.
Microsoft Teams, conversely, leaned heavily into wealth, which in a corporate context translates to productivity, enterprise security, and ruthless efficiency within the Office 365 ecosystem,
Same underlying technology, but entirely different categorical desires.
which dictated their branding, their interface design, and their initial target demographics.
It's like evaluating a restaurant. If I walk past a place and the sign says, the city's most authentic, hand-rolled Italian pasta, A&D, the most traditional master-crafted Japanese sushi, I am absolutely not walking in there.
My brain immediately rejects the premise.
I think there's zero chance the chef has spent 30 years mastering both of those radically different disciplines. I assume both the pasta and the sushi are terrible.
You want the specialist. The human brain craves categorical clarity.
Now, brands certainly evolve, right?
Sure, as a company matures, they might spin off different campaigns or sub-brands to target different desires.
It's like a mattress company.
Yeah, a mattress company might run one campaign targeting health, focusing on spinal alignment and deep REM sleep for athletes.
They might run a separate campaign targeting wealth, focusing on how better sleep increases your cognitive performance and earning potential.
But those campaigns must remain quarantined from each other. The rule of one message, one desire per interaction remains absolute.
If you confuse the prospect's primary biological desire, you lose the prospect.
So the immediate filter for anyone building anything is categorization. You have to force yourself to put your current product into one of these three buckets.
Does your software, your coaching program, your physical widget ultimately serve health, wealth, or relationships?
And if you genuinely believe it impacts all three, which a truly great product often does, you still have to make a ruthless executive decision.
Which single desire will your specific marketing campaign focus on today? You have to pick your lane and ignore the others.
However, categorizing the desire is only establishing the destination. We know what they want, but we don't yet know how they are moving toward it.
Let's explore that because it's a massive behavioral split. Let's say we've picked our lane. We are selling a financial education product in the wealth category.
We are promising to help people generate more income.
But if you look at the market, two different people who both ostensibly desire wealth will act in completely contradictory ways.
Give me a breakdown of those two people.
Person A is awake at 3 a.m. out of sheer suffocating desperation because they are 60 days behind on rent and their car just got repossessed.
Oof.
Person B is awake at 3 a.m. because they are fiercely, obsessively ambitious and they are trying to figure out how to acquire their first commercial real estate property.
They both want wealth, but they are entirely different psychological creatures.
Which perfectly transitions our analysis from the category of desire to the direction of motivation. We have established the destination, now we must establish the vector.
The direction of motivation. Pain versus pleasure. This is a fundamental, inescapable law of human behavioral psychology.
Every single decision we make, from what we eat for breakfast to who we marry to what software we buy, moves in one of two directions.
We are either moving frantically away from pain, or we are moving steadily toward pleasure.
It is the binary code of the human nervous system, and we can map this perfectly across our trinity of desire.
Consider the internal monologue of someone moving away from pain.
In the health category, the thought loop is, I feel constantly bloated, my knees hurt when I walk upstairs, my doctor told me I'm pre-diabetic.
In wealth, the pain loop is, I am drowning in credit card debt, I despise my boss, I have panic attacks when I check my bank balance.
In relationships, the pain is, I am profoundly lonely, my marriage is toxic, I feel totally isolated.
It's a very heavy, oppressive, reactive state of mind.
Contrast that with the exact same categories, but mapped onto the vector of moving toward pleasure.
In health, the thought is, I want to train for an Ironman, I want to optimize my VO2 max, I want visible abs.
In wealth, it's, I want to buy a vacation home in Aspen. I want to hit 8 figures in revenue. I want to build generational wealth.
In relationships, it's, I want to cultivate a thriving, elite social circle. I want a deeply passionate romantic partnership.
The behavioral economics behind this distinction dictate everything about how a product is sold.
As a marketer, you have to understand the profound difference in urgency between these two vectors. Moving away from pain is almost always an urgent, immediate, non-negotiable need.
It is a bleeding neck.
If you are standing in the street with a severed artery in your neck, you are not price shopping. You are not reading reviews on the best brand of gauze.
You are grabbing whatever's in front of you that stops the bleeding immediately.
The sales cycle for pain is instantaneous.
Moving toward pleasure, however, is aspirational. It is future-focused.
It's a multivitamin, not a painkiller.
You know you should take your vitamins, but if you forget today, your life doesn't fall apart.
People operating on the pleasure vector will take their time. They will compare options, they will read the white papers, they will delay the purchase until the conditions are perfect.
So the natural question is, which one is better to target? Should we be leaning into the fear and scaring people with their pain, or should we be uplifting them, acting as a visionary, and inspiring them with pleasure?
Neither vector is universally superior. The efficacy depends entirely on your specific customer's current state of awareness.
You do not get to dictate the vector.
You simply have to match it. You must meet them exactly where their internal monologue is currently playing.
Let's say your avatar is currently in absolute agony over an impending bankruptcy.
And your ad comes across their screen, painting a vivid picture of yachts, passive income, and beachside mansions.
There is a total cognitive disconnect. She will scroll right past it, or worse, she will resent it because it feels absurdly unattainable.
She doesn't want a yacht. She just wants the collection agencies to stop calling her phone.
You have to match the frequency of the trauma.
And conversely, if someone is already successful, they have a great career, and they are looking to optimize their portfolio, an ad screaming about the terrors of bankruptcy and poverty will completely miss the mark.
They will think, that's not me, and ignore it. You have to hack into the specific frequency of their internal loop.
To do that effectively, we can visualize a very specific, practical exercise from the text.
Let's do it.
Imagine a literal audio loop playing inside your dream customer's head. It is 2 a.m. They are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, bathed in the blue light of the street lamp outside.
Tossing and turning.
What are the exact words playing on repeat in that loop? Is the loop saying, I am a failure, I can't take another day of this commute, I am suffocating?
Or is the loop saying, if I can just refine this one strategy, I can double my agency's footprint and finally achieve true autonomy?
Your advertisement, your landing page headline, the subject line of your cold email, it has to read like an unauthorized transcript of that 2 a.m. internal loop.
If you can achieve that level of precision, the trust is instantaneous. They feel seen, not sold to.
You are capturing the vocabulary of their current vector. The tactical application of this is to sit down with a physical piece of paper, draw a line down the center.
On the left side, force yourself to write down 20 specific verbatim phrases your ideal customer uses when they are running away from pain.
On the right side, write down 20 phrases they use when they're chasing pleasure. You have to become completely fluent in both dialects of your market.
This level of psychological profiling is incredibly rigorous. At this point, we know exactly who Alexis is down to her daily habits.
We know her ultimate biological desire, health, wealth, or relationships.
And we know her vector, whether she is bleeding from the neck or shopping for vitamins. We have a perfect psychographic blueprint.
But a blueprint is useless if you don't know where to build the house.
Exactly. This is the massive pivot point of the chapter. How does all of this deep theoretical psychological profiling actually translate to the mechanical reality of the internet?
We know what is happening inside their heads, but how do we physically locate them online?
How do we put the message in front of them without wasting thousands of dollars on blind advertising?
This requires a fundamental shift in how we understand the architecture and the history of internet traffic.
We have to differentiate between the two dominant psychological states of the modern consumer.
The searcher and the scroller.
The historical evolution of this concept is fascinating. If we rewind the clock to human commerce before the 1800s, almost all traffic, all buying and selling, was based purely on immediate, localized need.
Our ancestors weren't casually browsing for entertainment. They searched for food out of necessity.
Later, as towns formed, a farmer would go to a local general store to search for a specific item, a new iron plow, a 50-pound bag of flour.
The farmer had a specific, conscious intent. He executed a physical search, he found the item, and a transaction occurred.
This is the historical archetype of the searcher.
It is an entirely intent-driven ecosystem. The merchant simply had to have the supply ready when the demand walked through the door.
But then, a massive paradigm shift fractured the history of commerce. The invention and proliferation of the television commercial.
It completely rewired human consumption.
Suddenly, you have millions of people sitting in their living rooms, perfectly content, eating dinner, watching a program.
They are in a state of equilibrium. They do not have an active, conscious need.
And then, abruptly, the program cuts to a glowing, highly produced video of a shiny new sports car or a revolutionary new vacuum cleaner.
5 seconds ago, they did not need a vacuum cleaner.
But the commercial artificially plants a seed of desire. This is the birth of interruption marketing, and it is the genesis of the scroller.
The advertiser no longer had to wait passively for the consumer to realize they had a problem. They could aggressively manufacture the desire.
When we map this historical evolution onto the architecture of the modern internet, it perfectly divides the two largest traffic ecosystems in existence.
On one side of the divide, we have Google. Google is the ultimate hyper-efficient engine for searchers.
People do not go to Google to hang out or be entertained. They go to the search bar and type in highly specific, often pain-based queries.
How to fix a leaky PVC pipe. Best enterprise CRM software for agencies. Couples counseling near me.
They are executing pure intent.
And on the other side of the divide, we have platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. These are engines built entirely for scrollers.
People open these apps to be distracted, to find a hit of dopamine, to connect with friends, to passively consume entertainment.
They are generally operating on a mild pleasure vector. They have zero buying intent when they open the app. Therefore, they must be interrupted.
The strategic implications here are massive. You cannot treat a searcher like a scroller and vice versa.
If you are trying to acquire customers on social media, if you are dealing with scrollers, you cannot just present your product like a catalog.
You absolutely must use the psychological sequence of hook, story, offer.
Because they aren't actively looking for your solution, you have to throw a massive visually or emotionally jarring hook to break their scrolling trance.
You have to snap them out of their hypnosis.
Then you have to rapidly tell a compelling story to build context and desire, and finally, make an irresistible offer to convince them to actually leave the platform they were enjoying.
If we break down the fundamental economic difference between these two traffic strategies, it is a constant trade-off between intent and volume.
Search traffic. The Google ecosystem is incredibly high intent. If someone types, "buy emergency plumbing kit overnight shipping," they're literally holding their credit card in their hand.
The conversion rate on that traffic is astronomically high.
But the volume is strictly limited. It is capped exactly at the number of people having that specific plumbing emergency at that specific millisecond in time.
You are fishing in a highly lucrative but very small pond.
Precisely. Social traffic, the ecosystem of the scrollers, represents a massive, almost infinite ocean of volume. You can put an ad in front of 3 million people by tomorrow afternoon.
But the baseline intent of those 3 million people is zero. They don't care about you.
Therefore, succeeding in that ecosystem requires exceptional psychological hooks and masterful storytelling to conjure that intent out of thin air.
Understanding whether your ideal customer is currently acting as a searcher or a scroller dictates every single decision you make. Your media buying strategy, the design of your ad creative, the length of your copy, and the architecture of your sales funnel.
What's really interesting is how modern platforms are starting to blur these lines, which makes the marketer's job even more complex. Take YouTube, for example.
Is YouTube a search engine or a scrolling engine?
It's actually both. It's the second largest search engine in the world. You have people actively typing in how to change a tire on a 2018 Honda Civic, pure searcher behavior.
But then once that video ends, the algorithm takes over. It auto-plays the next video.
Suddenly, that same person is scrolling through a feed of recommended videos, and they spend the next 2 hours watching a documentary about deep-sea cave diving.
They have seamlessly transitioned into a scroller.
That behavioral nuance is critical. A creator on YouTube has to master both disciplines simultaneously.
How you title and optimize a video to capture a searcher looking for a tutorial is fundamentally different from how you design a bizarre, high-contrast thumbnail to interrupt a scroller who is falling down a rabbit hole.
It makes me think about the difference between a pharmacy and a mall kiosk.
The searcher is a guy walking into a pharmacy. His head is absolutely throbbing. He walks right up to the counter and actively asks the pharmacist, Where is the extra strength aspirin?
As the pharmacist, you don't need a clever hook.
Okay,
You
good.
don't need to tell him a story about the history of willow bark. You just hand him the aspirin, take his money, and he is thrilled.
The scroller, however, is a teenager window shopping at a massive indoor mall. They are holding a pretzel, laughing with their friends, just killing time.
You are the vendor at the little kiosk in the middle of the walkway. You have to physically jump out, offer a free sample, demonstrate the remote control helicopter, or do something dynamic to arrest their attention.
You have to interrupt their leisure time and convince them to engage with you.
If you mix up those strategies, you fail instantly. If you use a high-energy, interruptive mall kiosk strategy on a bleeding neck searcher in a pharmacy, you will severely annoy them.
They just want the aspirin.
If you use a quiet, passive catalog strategy on a scroller at the mall, you will be entirely ignored. They will walk right past you without ever registering your existence.
So the practical, immediate mandate for anyone listening to this: evaluate your entire business model right now. Look at how you are currently trying to get traffic.
Are you just sitting quietly behind a beautifully designed website, optimizing a few keywords, and waiting for searchers to finally type in your exact phrase and find you?
Or are you actively out in the digital mall, throwing out aggressive hooks to interrupt the scrollers? You must design your entry points based strictly on their behavior.
You have to match your mechanism to their mindset.
And this brings us to a point where we can synthesize all of these profound psychological layers. We've journeyed from the superficial demographics of an avatar down into the deepest bedrock of human motivation.
We've mapped the empathy, the universal desires, the vectors of pain and pleasure, and the behavioral environments of search versus scroll.
Let's tie all of this architecture together. What is the soul of this entire philosophy?
If there is one singular resonant insight to extract from all of this behavioral psychology, it is this. Traffic is not a metric.
It's not an abstract concept.
It is not a line of code you generate on a server, and it is certainly not something you are entitled to just because you built a good product. Traffic is simply people.
It is millions of individuals, each walking around with their own secret fears, their own profound desires, and their own relentless internal monologues.
To get traffic, to actually capture human attention, you must step completely out of your own ego. You must abandon your obsession with your product.
You must build a deep, visceral, empathetic profile of your customer, your Alexis.
You must identify her singular, driving core desire, health, wealth, or relationships.
You must accurately map the exact vocabulary of her pain or her pleasure.
And finally, you must construct an environment that meets her exactly where she already is, whether she is desperately typing a query into a search bar or passively scrolling on her phone late at night.
The soul of this entire deep dive is empathy. The creator, the marketer, or the business owner who understands the customer best, the one who can articulate their hidden pain with the most terrifying clarity, wins. Period.
The quality of the product absolutely matters, yes, but empathy is the only vehicle capable of delivering that product to the world.
We have mapped the human mind as it relates to digital commerce. The theory is sound. The challenge now is entirely in the execution.
It is up to the individual to apply this rigor to their own Alexis.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a highly specific, slightly provocative piece of homework. Tonight, when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., aimlessly scrolling on your phone,
Pay attention.
eventually, an ad or a piece of content is going to make your thumb stop dead in its tracks. When that happens, do not just mindlessly consume the video or buy the product.
Stop and interrogate your own psychology.
Ask yourself, what exactly did this creator know about my secret pain or my hidden pleasure that made me stop scrolling? What was the specific hook that successfully hacked into my internal monologue?
Study your own reactions because you need to remember that you are someone else's Alexis.
Now that we know exactly who we are looking for, what's inside their heads, and how they behave, it's time to find out exactly where millions of them are already congregating online.
And how to ethically engineer pathways that lead them straight to your front door.
But that is a deep dive for another day. What if you never had to struggle to create traffic from scratch ever again?
Right.
Like, what if the exact people you want to reach are already gathered together in one place, just waiting for you to walk into the room?
It's a massive shift. And today's deep dive explores exactly that. We're looking at the concept of the Dream 100.
Yeah.
It's this incredibly strategic framework for finding where your ideal audience is already congregating online. And, you know, for anyone interested in business or entrepreneurship, this matters so much because it shifts that awful, overwhelming burden of generating traffic.
Oh, absolutely.
It moves it into the highly leveraged, targeted action of just tapping into existing communities.
Okay, let's unpack this because I know that blank page anxiety so well.
We all do.
You know, you build something and then you just stare at it thinking, how do I create traffic? Where do I find the people?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the core belief we're analyzing today is that knowledge is most valuable when you actually apply it. And the first thing you have to apply is a total mindset shift.
Right, because the text explicitly argues that you don't create traffic, like at all.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
cannot create traffic. Traffic is just human beings.
Yeah.
And those human beings, they already exist. They're out there right now reading newsletters, listening to podcasts, scrolling, forums. The river is already flowing.
So your job isn't to conjure water out of the desert.
No, not at all. Your job is to just step away from that anxiety, find the barrel of fish, and literally just throw your hooks in.
Which is such a relief, honestly. Like, if you're listening to this, you can just let go of the idea that you have to invent an audience.
Yes.
But to really get this, we kind of need to go back in time a bit. The text breaks down this crucial difference between a searcher and a scroller.
Right. The historical context is so important here.
Like, if we look back to the 1800s, or honestly, any time before the internet, people only bought things based on a deliberate search.
Yeah, out of active necessity.
Exactly. Your boots wear out, you actively search for a cobbler. You're out of food, you search for a farmer. You had a specific pain point, and you initiated a search to fix it.
And that deeply ingrained behavior, it transferred perfectly to the early internet.
The Google era.
Right. The late 90s, early 2000s, people sat at a desktop and typed in highly specific queries, like how to fix a leaky pipe.
Yeah.
That is the searcher. And the psychology there is vital to understand. The searcher knows they have a problem, and they're actively hunting for the solution.
They're leaning forward, they have intent.
Exactly.
But then social media happened.
Social media changes everything. It gave birth to the scroller.
And we all know the scroller because we're all the scrollers every single night.
Right. You're on the couch, TV is on, and you're just mindlessly flicking your thumb up a screen.
You're not looking for a plumber.
No, you're looking for a dopamine hit. You want to see what your friends are doing or watch a funny video. You are in a passive state of reception.
So, as an entrepreneur trying to reach that person, your strategy has to be fundamentally different.
It dictates everything about your marketing.
Right. Because if I'm searching for a leaky pipe fix, you just need to be the clearest answer on Google.
Yeah, you just answer the question.
But if I'm looking at photos of my neighbor's cat and you want to sell me plumbing services, you have to use interruption marketing.
Which is incredibly hard to do well.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting to me. It's like trying to build a brand new city in the desert and begging people to move there.
Which never works.
Right. Versus just setting up your shop right in the middle of Times Square where millions of people are already walking by.
That's a great analogy.
But I do have a little pushback here. If you're interacting a scroller in Times Square who isn't looking for you, isn't there a massive risk of just being annoying?
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly why understanding your audience matters so much.
Yeah.
Annoyance in marketing is pretty much always just a byproduct of irrelevance.
Irrelevance. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, if you stop someone in Times Square to aggressively sell them dog food and they don't own a dog,
Yeah, they're going to be furious.
right, you're a nuisance. But if you find someone who has been walking around for 6 hours and they're starving and you step in front of them with a hot, fresh slice of pizza,
They're not annoyed at all.
exactly, they are relieved. The relevance makes the interruption feel serendipitous.
Wow. Okay, so if you're listening right now, you need to audit your own product or service.
Right now.
You have to ask yourself, are my dream customers primarily searchers actively looking for a fix?
Or are they scrollers?
Yeah, scrollers who need to be interrupted with a really compelling hook.
And once you figure that out, you have to actually go find them. Which brings us to the origins of this whole Dream 100 concept.
Yes, the Chet Holmes story.
Right. Chet Holmes, who eventually became Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway, actually invented this framework.
And not in the digital age, right? This was old school.
Very old school. He was put in charge of selling advertising for a legal magazine that was literally dead last in its market.
Number 15 out of 15.
Exactly. And the old strategy was just a volume game. The sales team had a database of like 2,000 potential corporate advertisers.
Just dial for dollars.
Right. Cold calls, mass mailers, just hoping for a hit. Total diffused energy.
So what does Chet do?
He does something that seems insane. He looks at that list of 2,000 and he just deletes 1,900 of them.
He just ignores them entirely.
Yes. He focuses relentlessly on just the top 100 ideal high-value advertisers. The whales.
One-to-one strategy.
Exactly. It's designed for businesses that just need a small number of massive clients.
So instead of calling 2,000 people once a year?
He hits those specific 100 people constantly.
Wow.
He sends them lumpy mail, physical packages. He follows up with phone calls. He understood he had to move them through a progression of awareness.
Right, because at first it's just, I've never heard of this company.
Then it becomes, what is this company I keep getting stuff from?
And then, oh, I think I've heard of them.
Which leads to, yes, I know that company. And finally, yes, I do business with them.
He basically forced our relationship through sheer omnipresence.
And it worked. He took the magazine to #1.
And he didn't just do it in the corporate world. There's that crazy story about him trying to sell a screenplay in Hollywood.
Oh, Emily Song. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
He didn't know anybody in Hollywood. Zero connections.
He was a total outsider.
But he bought a magazine that listed the 100 most powerful people in Hollywood.
Which is literally a Dream 100 list printed out for him.
Right. He used the exact same relentless strategy on those executives, and he ended up getting the script to LeAnn Rimes.
She read it, and they sold it to Warner Bros.
It's unbelievable. But okay, I have to ask, what does this all mean for the listener who isn't trying to land a massive corporate whale?
Or sell a blockbuster movie.
Yeah, exactly. How does a normal entrepreneur, someone selling a normal product, use this?
Well, if your business does rely on high-ticket B2B clients, then that one-to-one strategy is your ultimate shortcut.
Right.
But if you're doing volume, if you're selling a $7.95 book like the author of our source text was, you can't afford to send lumpy mail to millions of individual buyers.
The math completely breaks down.
It makes no financial sense.
Yeah.
So the strategy has to evolve into what we call the one-to-many Dream 100.
Okay, one-to-many. How does that work?
Instead of targeting the individual customer, you identify the owners of the congregations where your customers already gather.
Ah, the influencers, the podcasters, the group admins.
Exactly. The leaders who already have the buyers.
The leverage there is just insane.
It's massive. The author talks about identifying over 185 communities, websites, Facebook groups, newsletters.
Yeah.
And when he added it all up, he realized he had immediate access to over 30 million dream customers.
30 million. That's a whole country.
Right. And you don't have to hunt them down individually. You just partner with the 185 leaders.
It's like running for mayor.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, you don't have the time to go knock on 30 million individual doors. It's impossible.
Right.
Instead, you sit down with the heads of the local unions, the community organizers, the school board leaders.
Yes, exactly.
You win them over, and they endorse you to their entire following.
That trust transfer is everything.
Yeah.
We see this in the real world all the time. Look at the Rachel Hollis example from the text.
Oh, yeah. That was a masterclass.
Before she was this massive bestseller, she needed to reach ambitious women interested in personal development.
So she infiltrated the network marketing tribes.
Exactly. She didn't buy broad, useless ads. She identified specific women in network marketing who already had, over 200,000 followers.
The leaders of the tribes.
Right. She direct messaged them. She sent them advance copies of her book for free.
She gave them undeniable value.
And because she won over the leaders, they shared it with their massive congregations, and she became a global phenomenon.
And it's not just books. The Tom Bilyeu Quest nutrition story is the same playbook.
Oh, absolutely. When Quest was starting out, they couldn't afford Super Bowl ads.
So they built a Dream 100 list of fitness influencers.
YouTube and Instagram fitness creators. And they just set them free protein bars.
With that amazing little note, right?
Yes. If you like it, tell people. And if you hate it, tell people that too.
Which is so disarming. It respects the influencer so much.
And it works because it's a symbiotic relationship. The influencer wants to look good by sharing a great new product.
And Quest gets direct access to a hyper-targeted audience.
So practically speaking, if you're listening, you need to stop making lists of individual customers.
Stop doing it.
Start making a list of the top 100 channels, the podcasts, the blogs, the Instagrammers that already hold your audience's attention.
Okay, but we have to talk about the platform specificity here because you can't just blast a generic list of random influencers, right?
No, you definitely cannot. You have to respect consumer behavior.
Like that story in the text about rebranding the podcast.
Yeah, that was a huge wake-up call for the author. He tried to use his massive email list and Facebook following to push people to listen to his new podcast.
And it kind of fell flat.
Because people who listen to podcasts prefer to consume media on podcasts.
It seems so obvious, but it's such a blind spot.
It really is. A podcast listener is warm traffic for another podcast. They already have the app open.
Right.
But asking someone reading an email to switch apps, put on headphones, and listen to a show, that's a huge friction point. They're cold traffic for that specific medium.
So you really have to segment your outreach based on where you want the audience to end up.
Exactly. If you want YouTube subscribers, your Dream 100 list needs to be other YouTube channels.
That makes total sense for digital stuff. But here's the real pushback I always hear.
Okay, lay it on me.
Someone is listening right now saying, this is great for digital products, but I own a physical brick-and-mortar store. I own a local juice bar.
Ah, yes. The local business reality.
They're thinking, national influencers don't matter to me.
And they're right. National celebrities won't help a local juice bar. But the Dream 100 framework still applies, maybe even more powerfully.
How so?
You just have to change how you define the influencer. For a local business, your Dream 100 isn't internet famous people. It's local micro-influencers.
Okay, break that down for the juice bar example.
If you own a local juice bar, your dream customer is someone actively trying to get healthy.
Right.
So you ask, where do those specific people gather within a 5-mile radius of my cash register?
Oh, they're at the local gyms.
Yes. The gyms, the health food stores, the chiropractors, the personal trainers.
Those physical places are the congregations.
Exactly. So your local Dream 100 list is the owners of those specific hyper-local businesses.
Okay, but wait. If I'm a local juice bar owner and I walk into the massive local gym down the street,
Yeah.
won't those other local businesses just see me as competition? Like, why would a local gym promote my juice bar?
That's the fear of the zero-sum game. But it ignores the power of complimentary offers.
Complimentary offers.
Okay. Think about it. The gym provides the workout. But gym owners know their clients struggle with nutrition.
Oh, constantly.
Right. The gym owner doesn't want to run a smoothie bar, but they want their clients to succeed.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly. The juice bar owner goes to the gym owner and says, I want to give all your members an exclusive 20% discount on recovery smoothies.
Wow. So the gym owner gets to look like a hero to their members.
Without spending a dime.
Oh.
And the juice bar gets instant access to hundreds of hyper-qualified local dream customers.
Okay, that is brilliant. So if you run a local shop, you need to map out the physical and digital congregations in your specific town.
Yes. The local Facebook group admins, the real estate agents giving welcome baskets, that is your list.
Which brings us to the actual mechanics of this. How do we actually build the list? Because staring at a blank spreadsheet is just as bad as the blank page.
It is. But the text gives us a very specific hierarchy to follow. It all starts with those two types of congregations we talked about, interest-based and search-based.
Let's talk about the interest-based ones, the social networks.
The home of the scroller.
Yeah, there is a stat in the text that blew my mind. It says Facebook is believed to track over 52,000 data points on each individual user.
52,000. It's almost hard to comprehend.
It's staggering. But as a marketer, it means the platform already knows exactly what your dream customer is interested in.
It knows what podcasts they like, what blogs they read, what weird niche hobbies they have.
So the data is organized, we just have to navigate it.
And to navigate it, you have to understand the hierarchy of markets. Basically, every business serves one of 3 core markets.
Health, wealth, and relationship.
Right. But obviously, you can't just target wealth. It's way too broad.
You'd be talking to everyone and no one.
Exactly. So you flow down a level to the submarket.
So inside wealth, a submarket might be
Finance.
finance, investing, real estate.
Okay. But real estate is still huge.
So you flow down one more level to the niche.
Got it. So inside the real estate submarket, the niche might be flipping houses. Yes. Core market, submarket niche. Now here is where the text points out a massive, highly nuanced mistake almost everyone makes.
Oh, I know this part. It's so counterintuitive.
It really is. When you sit down to build your Dream 100 list, your first instinct is to look right inside your specific niche.
Right. You think, I teach house flipping, so I need to target the top 100 other people who teach house flipping.
Which is a terrible idea.
Because they're your direct competitors.
Exactly. Why would they promote your course to their audience? It would cannibalize their own sales. You're just walking into a bloodbath.
So what do you do instead?
You have to look outside your specific niche and look laterally across the broader submarket.
Okay, walk me through the thought exercise for that.
You have to ask yourself, what other vehicles are people trying to use to get the result they desire within this submarket?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Let's use the health market. Say your niche is selling a weight loss supplement.
If I target other supplement companies, they'll just block my emails.
Right. But step back into the submarket. What else is your dream customer doing to try and lose weight?
Oh, they're following strength training channels.
Yes.
They're reading keto diet blogs. They're listening to running podcasts.
Exactly. And those creators, the keto blogger, the strength coach, they are not your competitors.
They're my perfect partners.
Because they're solving the exact same problem, but using a completely different vehicle.
So what does this all mean? It means you aren't competing. You're completing the picture for the customer.
Yes. They provide the workout. You provide the recovery supplement. It's the ultimate win-win.
That lateral thinking completely changes the game.
It really does. It allows you to find partners who are genuinely excited to work with you.
Okay, so let's give the listener a tangible homework assignment based on this.
I love that. Grab a pen.
Literally right now, write down 20 to 100 names of influencers across your favorite social network who are in your submarket, but not your direct niche.
The interest-based list.
Yep. Then list the top keyword phrases your audience is searching for on Google or YouTube. That's your search-based list.
That physical list is the ultimate foundation for your entire business. Everything builds on that.
It really does.
Wow.
It dictates where you spend your energy.
So when we pull all this together, it raises a really important question about how we view marketing entirely.
Yeah.
The soul of this whole chapter is that traffic isn't numbers. Traffic is simply people.
Just people.
And people are predictably tribal. We gather together.
We want to be in the barrel with the other fish.
We do. So success isn't about being the loudest person shouting into the void. It's just about respectfully entering the communities that have already been built and offering undeniable value to the leaders of those tribes.
You elevate the leader, you serve the community, and you inevitably elevate your own business.
That's the Dream 100.
So you now know exactly who your dream customers are, and you've mapped out exactly where they are hiding.
You've got the list.
But once you find them, how do you actually get them to stop scrolling, pay attention to you, and enter your world?
That's the real trick.
That requires mastering the art of the hook, the story, and the offer, and that is exactly what you'll need to explore next. Have you ever wondered why you just, endlessly scroll past like 99% of the internet without even a second thought, but occasionally, just out of nowhere, a single post completely paralyzes your thumb and commands your absolute attention?
I mean, it's wild when it happens, right? Because you're almost in a trance, and then suddenly you're locked in.
Exactly. And that right there, that moment of being locked in, establishes what I think is the ultimate problem that every creator, every business owner, and honestly every entrepreneur faces today.
The battle for attention.
Yes, the battle for human attention in what is just an overwhelmingly distracted world. Because, frankly, if you can't stop that scroll, your business functionally does not exist.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think we have to validate that tension right away, because there is this massive myth out there, this idea that if you just build the best product, customers are just going to magically find it.
Right, the whole build it and they will come thing.
Yeah, which is just completely false today. The modern landscape, it requires active interception. You have to step out in front of them.
So today, we are diving deep into exactly how you do that. We are looking at what is basically the holy trinity of online persuasion. We're going to break down the hook, story, offer framework alongside this really fascinating secret weapon known as the attractive character.
Which is such a great concept.
Yeah.
Because over the next hour or so, you're going to learn exactly how to ethically hijack that attention we just talked about, how to build really deep, lasting relationships with your audience, and then how to construct these irresistible invitations that actually get them to take action.
And this matters so much, right? Because whether you are a curious beginner just starting out, or you're a seasoned entrepreneur who's been doing this for a decade, mastering this specific sequence, it is the fundamental difference between your message just disappearing into the void and actually creating massive impact.
Absolutely. It's the core engine of any successful movement or business.
So let's start at the absolute beginning of that sequence, the hook, the art of stopping the scroll. Because you can have the most profound message in the world, right?
Right.
But if you can't get someone to pause for just 3 seconds, you're just shouting into a black hole.
You really are. And so to understand the hook, We have to recognize that it is the very first point of contact. It's that crucial element that buys you just enough attention to even speak to them.
Just a tiny window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a hook isn't just a headline. I think a lot of people make that mistake.
Yeah.
A hook is any pattern interrupt.
Any pattern interrupt.
Yeah, so it could be an email subject line, it can be an image,
Yeah.
a YouTube thumbnail,
Mhm.
maybe a really bizarre video background, or even just doing something super goofy in the first 3 seconds of a video.
Okay, let's unpack this because the sources give this perfect real-world scenario that I think everyone can relate to. Let's use this to really illustrate it.
Oh, the Jessica scenario, yes.
Right, so let's paint this vivid picture of our target customer. We're going to call her Jessica. It's 9:27 at night. Her kids just finally fell asleep. She is completely exhausted from a day that probably started before the sun even came
Wow,
up.
she's totally depleted.
Completely. And she finally has these few precious moments entirely to herself. So before she starts cleaning the kitchen, before she goes to take her makeup off, she just slumps down on the couch and starts mindlessly scrolling Facebook.
Which is such an important detail. She's not actively searching for anything.
No, not at all. Think of the internet in this moment like a fast-moving river, and Jessica is just kind of floating along on her back. The hook has to be this shiny lure that literally forces her to stop floating and look.
And we have to understand why that matters from a psychological perspective.
Yeah.
You have to visualize your end customer in these exact, really vulnerable, very mundane moments.
Like sitting on the toilet, right?
Exactly. Sitting on the toilet, lying in bed, lounging on the couch, half asleep. You have to ask yourself, what could possibly make an exhausted Jessica actually stop scrolling?
And our sources point to this specific campaign by Natalie Hodson for a program called Abs, Core, and Pelvic Floor. And this campaign hooked 120,000 buyers.
Which is a staggering number.
It is, and it wasn't because it was super polished. It worked simply because the image and the headline perfectly intercepted Jessica's specific pain and her immediate reality.
Right, because if you showed Jessica a perfectly airbrushed fitness model doing crunches with a headline like, get your summer body, her brain just rejects it.
It's just noise.
It's worse than noise, it's friction. But Natalie used an unpolished, vulnerable image talking about real postpartum issues. It was an extreme pattern interrupt because it was deeply empathetic.
Wow, yeah. So the practical takeaway here, and I want to directly challenge you, the listener, with this. The next time you're scrolling through your phone, I want you to stop the exact moment you catch yourself pausing on a post.
That is a great exercise.
Just stop and ask yourself, why did I stop? What exactly did that hook say or show? And how did it actually make me feel?
Because studying your own behavior, noticing what breaks your own pattern, is honestly the absolute fastest way to master writing your own hooks.
It's like you become your own test subject.
Precisely. But, a hook only buys you a few seconds of attention. And attention is incredibly fleeting.
It's gone in an instant.
Exactly. So once you have it, once you've stopped the scroll, you have to immediately transition into the second part of the framework, which is the story.
Right, the story phase. And from what I understand, there are really two core goals here. First, it has to increase the perceived value of whatever offer you're eventually going to make. And it does this through something called an epiphany bridge.
Yes.
And then second, it has to build a really genuine connection with the brand.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Because your business, it cannot just be a faceless corporation. It needs a personality.
Which introduces this concept of the attractive character.
Right. Because
Yeah.
anyone can just run an ad and get like a transactional one-time purchase. But sharing personal stories, sharing your struggles, and really acting as that attractive character, that is what turns casual buyers into raving fans.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Do people actually care about my personal stories? I mean, shouldn't I just tell them why the product I made is great? Like, here are the features, here's what it does.
It's a super common question.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating here is that humans just do not connect with features. We don't.
Yeah.
We connect with shared experiences.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because when you just pitch features, you trigger the logical brain. And the logical brain is skeptical. It wants to argue. But stories break down false beliefs organically.
How so?
Well, when you share an origin story, or you explain the epiphany you had that led you to create the product, that epiphany bridge, you show the customer the perceived value without arguing with them. You take them on the journey with you.
Oh, I see. So instead of just saying, my dog training method is the fastest, you tell the story of how you were crying on your living room floor with a rescue dog you thought you'd have to return.
Exactly. And even if they don't buy your product today,
Mm.
because you shared that vulnerable story, they connect with you as the attractive character. They follow you. They enter your ecosystem.
And then they might buy later.
Exactly.
Right.
So the practical takeaway for you listening is this. Stop just pitching features. Just stop.
Stop doing it.
Right. Start documenting and sharing your personal journey. Share your why. Share those light bulb moments, those epiphanies. You need to serve your audience with your story before you ever try to sell them a single thing.
That is huge. So you've hooked them out of their passive scroll. You've captivated them with a story that builds trust and builds this intense desire. But now you have to stick the landing.
You have to stick the landing.
Right. And that brings us to the final piece of the Trinity. The offer. Structuring the irresistible invitation.
And we really need to clarify a massive misconception right here. An offer does not just mean asking for money.
Really? Because that's what everyone thinks it means.
Oh, totally. But every single communication has an offer. There are micro offers, like this post, or comment below, or subscribe to my podcast.
Or join my email list.
Exactly. Those are micro offers. And then a macro offer is asking them to actually pull out their credit card and buy. But the fundamental rule remains the exact same. The better the offer, the more likely someone is to take the action.
I love this. And the sources gave this brilliant, very concrete analogy to explain offer mechanics. I want to share this because it completely shifted how I view this. It's the trash analogy.
Oh, this is the best one. Walk us through it.
Okay, so imagine I ask you to take out the trash. It's a smelly bag. It's a long walk to the curb. And I offer you $1 single to do it.
I'm definitely going to say no.
Right. The effort, the friction, it just isn't worth the reward. But what if I increase the offer to $10?
Okay, well, now I might pause. I might actually think about it.
Exactly. But what if I look you dead in the eye and say, I will give you $1,000 in cash right now to take this bag of trash to the curb?
I mean, I'm grabbing the bag from you before you even finish talking.
Right. The offer becomes so unbelievably irresistible that you can't possibly say no to it.
If we apply this to business, it is incredibly revealing. If your audience isn't doing what you want, whether you want them to click a link or sign up for a webinar or buy a product, it is highly likely your offer just isn't good enough yet. You are still offering them $1 to take out the trash.
So how do you fix that without going bankrupt? Like, I can't give everyone $1,000.
Right. You don't necessarily change the core product. You make the offer sexier through something called value stacking.
Value stacking.
Yeah, you add highly relevant bonuses. You increase the volume of what they receive. You guarantee their success. You tweak the presentation and stack value on top of the core thing until the whole package becomes a $1,000 trash-taking scenario in their mind.
That is such a powerful shift in perspective. So, for the listener, if you aren't getting the yes you want, do not blame the customer. Don't blame the algorithm. Look deeply at your offer.
Ask yourself what you can stack.
Yes. What can you stack on top of it to make the perceived value just undeniably higher than the price of the action?
And now that we understand the hook, the story, and the offer individually, we have to look at how they function together. Because together, they form an absolute diagnostic framework.
And this is basically the ultimate diagnostic tool, right? Because the source material highlights this definitive rule, and I want to read this almost verbatim because it's so strong.
Go for it.
It says, if an ad isn't working, it is always the hook, the story, or the offer. If a funnel isn't converting, it's always the hook, the story, or the offer.
It really is an unbreakable law.
It applies to everything. Landing pages, webinar attendance, upsell take rates, even email open rates.
Always those three.
Okay, but let's be practical here. How do you actually know which of the three is broken when you're just staring at a failed campaign? Like, the dashboard just shows 0 sales.
Right. It can be intimidating. But you just break down the troubleshooting sequence logically based on user behavior.
Okay, walk me through that.
So if no one is opening your email or no one is clicking your ad, what failed?
The hook.
Exactly. Your hook is broken. They never even stopped scrolling.
The bouncer didn't let them in.
Right. Now, what if they are clicking my ad, they're landing on your page, but they drop off immediately before even reading down to see the price?
Ah, so they gave you their attention, but you lost them.
Yes. Your story failed.
Yeah.
It didn't build desire. It didn't act as that epiphany bridge.
Okay, and the third scenario?
They click the hook, they watch the entire 10-minute video, they scroll all the way to the buy button, and then they leave without buying.
That's the offer.
That is absolutely an offer problem. Your offer just isn't irresistible yet. It's still just a $1 offer for a heavy bag of trash.
Man, when you break it down like that, it's so clear. But I know a lot of people might be thinking, okay, I know my offer is broken, but how do I know what a good offer even looks like in my specific industry? And this is where we get into something really cool called funnel hacking.
Funnel hacking is the ultimate shortcut because you don't have to guess what works. You really don't.
You just look at what's already working.
Exactly. You look at your Dream 100. These are the top people, the top competitors, the top influencers in your specific industry.
And you just study them.
You do more than study their free stuff. You subscribe to their content, yes. You click their hooks to see where they lead. But crucially, you actually buy their products.
Wait, really? Buy from the competitor?
Yes, you have to become a happy customer of your competitors. Because this raises a really important question for anyone listening. Have you actually studied the back end of your industry?
I bet most people haven't.
No, they haven't. But by buying from your Dream 100, you get to reverse engineer their exact hooks, their exact epiphany bridge stories, and their stacked offers. You get to see their funnels from the inside.
Which basically gives you a proven blueprint for your own market.
Exactly. You aren't copying their product, but you are absolutely modeling the structure of how they sell it.
So if we distill absolutely everything we've explored today into one core takeaway, what is the soul of this entire framework?
I think the soul of this material is that all successful marketing, at the end of the day, is deeply human.
I love that.
It is not about algorithms. It's not about manipulation or trickery. It is simply a sequential exchange of value between two people.
Right. You trade a hook just for a tiny moment of their time.
Yes. And then you trade a story to earn their trust and to really showcase your attractive character. And finally, you present an offer that exchanges your ultimate solution for their commitment.
It's a relationship.
It is entirely a relationship. And when you view every single interaction through this lens, marketing ceases to be this stressful guessing game. It really becomes a predictable, repeatable science of human connection.
That is just phenomenal. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means you have the ultimate framework. You can diagnose any failure in your business, and you can scale any success.
You have the tools.
You really do. You have the tools to hook your dream customers, to tell them a story, and to offer them the world. But I want to leave you with a question to chew on.
Oh, a cliffhanger.
A little bit of one, yeah. Because what happens when you finally get them to invite you into their most private, most valuable digital space? Their email inbox.
That is the real test.
It is.
Yeah.
How do you keep them reading day after day, week after week, without just becoming another unread notification that they swipe away? How do you keep that attractive character alive in their inbox? That is something you're definitely going to want to think about.